As a YouTube makeup girly, there's nothing I love more than a good tag. So when I realized that the book community has tags coming out of the wazoo, nothing makes me happier. So I found the mid-year freakout tag, already loving the outlook of this one. I saw this at Happily Ever April, and I also saw it at Crystal's Bookish Life, both two channels that I have been watching as of late. And I thought, you know what? I love me a good tag. I'm gonna jump in. I'm gonna answer these questions based on what I have been reading so far this year. And I hope nobody's gonna be offended by some of my answers, but let's go. Best book you have read so far. Okay, I have three books I want to mention. Don't come for me. First book is gonna be A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen. I devoured this book. This is a romantasy set in, I'm guessing, Norway, because they're talking about fjords, and this is romantasy. What if all of the myths and legends in Norse mythology was real? How would that have looked in real life? It's incredibly well written. I will say there is a couple of factual errors in the second book that I'm reading right now compared to actually the legends written by Snorri, but it is what it is. I still think it's an amazing book series, and I ate this first book up, loved it. Second book that I absolutely devoured, and these are books where I'm like, I love them from beginning to end. Actually, maybe I'll put in, like, once we get to this book in another question, I will say that there's another book that also was a 5-star that I devoured beginning to end, but I'm answering that one in another category, so hold your thought, like hold your horses for that one. We'll take that one then. But this is Reign of Shadows and Endings. This is by Melissa K. Rowerich. I know this book isn't new. This is a thick mama. I devoured this book when I was on vacation. I also will say, I will answer actually this one in another prompt as well, but the reason why I didn't read this one, even though I saw so many people give this one a 5-star, is because it is so thick. But I did fly through this book. This is urban fantasy. And I'm saying that now because I did not know that going into this book, and I need you to know that going into this book. There are cars, there are guns, there are cell phones. I need you to understand that because I was very surprised. I don't know how I missed that, or maybe that people who have been reviewing this haven't been clear enough in the messaging. This is urban fantasy. There are still a lot of like very fantasy-esque. You're definitely not in this world, not in this modern world. There's a lot of things going on that still makes this feel like a fantasy world, but this is not horse and carriage. That's not where we are with this book. This is about a girl that lives in a world where there are humans, fae, and legacy. Legacy is just descendants of gods, and the legacy, there are the rulers, needs a fae to channel or take energy from when it comes to magic. So all of the legacy, there are rulers, gets to have a fae as a slave to bind to them so that they can take energy from them. This is not optional, and the main character in this book finds herself being chosen very spur of the moment. She has no idea this is happening. Everybody else that is chosen is very prepared for it. She is not, and she's not happy about it. And there's a very much a tug of war between the main female character and the main male character, where they are just not understanding each other. And I will say this is miscommunication written right. I will say the second book has some of those like miscommunication written wrong, but this one is just seeing other people's side of the story in a way where you can understand where both of them are coming from. And I just think that this one is really good miscommunication written in a good way. And I really did enjoy it. And this is plot first. Plot first, romance second. And I really did enjoy it beginning to end. And same with this one. I've seen some mixed reviews of this one. This is Shield of Sparrows by Devney Perry. I was sat. From chapter number 1, I was sat. This was so entertaining. And what I really loved about this one is that this is a fantasy world, but it is not magic heavy. It is mystical creatures heavy. And I really like the main female character in this book because she is just lost. She is the sister, her sister is about to be married away to a prince of another country. He comes and he says, no, I want her instead. The sister. She has not been prepared for this. She knows nothing about the world. She is not prepared. She knows nothing, literally. And I love the way that she is just admitting to herself in this book. She's like, I am lost. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what the country this is. I have not been reading up about any of this. And I think the world building in this is really expertly made to reflect that the main character doesn't really know a lot about these countries. She knows what she's been told, but it's not much because she was always the spare and nobody really cared about her. And now she's thrown into this just royal life and sent off to a different kingdom, and her father asks her to be a spy on this kingdom, and she just admits to herself several times in this book, she's like, I am the worst spy ever. And I really, really enjoy the banter of this book. I love that it is not, like I said, magic heavy. It's more like mystical beasts heavy, like mysterious like creatures and stuff. I love this different take on it. I was thoroughly enjoying this book beginning to end. If you're looking for something somewhat fast paced that really goes into details about the world where she is, while simultaneously not really knowing much else what's going on in the world, because the main character literally has not been told anything by her father, her now husband, any of that, and she's just confused. And I liked it. I liked the premise of this book. I thought it was thoroughly entertaining. I liked it. So yes, those are the 3 books where I have been just thoroughly entertained from beginning to end, and I gave all 3 of those a 5-star. Next one is best sequel we read this year, and this is also a book that I gave a 5-star, and technically this definitely does belong in that other series too, but I gotta give it to Wild Eyes by Elsie Silvers. This is a 5-star romance, contemporary romance. This is small town romance, and I love this book. There are parts of this book that literally changed my brain chemistry. I read this one, I think, in a reading vlog, and I remember putting it down and I was like, am I into this? I thought this was really solid. Good characters, just honestly a good man. We're gonna talk about some of the questionable actions by other men in other books, and I just think that this is a good like man role model. If men could read this book and be like, huh, if only we could be like this, because men keep saying, oh, women, we don't know what women want. We want this, okay? We want this. You should hand this out to people instead of sex ed. Just give them this. Just, could you be a little bit more like this guy? I thought this book was really entertaining. The first book was good, but not great. This one, I was swooning. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. It was a really good book. New release you haven't read yet, but want to. Okay. First of all, I'm reading right now, I think it's A Curse Carved in Bone, which is Danielle L. Jensen's second book in the duology about Freya and the Norse mythology. I am halfway through and I am loving it. I am loving it, and I don't know why. I pre-ordered this book so I can get it in May, and still I haven't read it. It's like I'm filming this end of June. I have no idea what's going on. Thoroughly enjoying the book, really liking it. I'm gonna have a May and June reading wrap up because I've been traveling a lot, so I thought I'd just squeeze those 2 months in together. I'm gonna have a reading wrap up soon, and I'll talk about the book because I will for sure have finished it by then. Thoroughly enjoying it. I'm so happy I'm finally getting to it. I don't know what took me so long. I bought this out of a recommendation from people, honestly, on like Instagram Reels, saying I should read this one. This is The Serpent and the Wolf, and this is a book that I will be reading really soon. This is by Rebecca Robinson, and this says a master of spicy slow burn. A fascinating world, intriguing characters, and a romance worth swooning over. Okay. Magical and fantastic. Utterly captivating. One witch's trouble, a coven is a nightmare, and this is impossible to put down. Ooh, a dazzling debut. So, very, very excited to read this one. I've heard good things about it, and look at how beautiful it is. So I would definitely let you know, because I feel like I kind of want to do a book about that. I've read those like TikTok and Instagram like hyped up romantasy books, which ones are actually worth reading. And I'm gonna read this one first before I make that before I make that video. If you have any romantasy that you feel are super hyped on TikTok or Instagram or even on YouTube that you would like to hear my thoughts about, let me know down below. Maybe I've missed something that I really should be reading. The next one is most anticipated release for the second half of the year, Brimstone by Callie Hart. There is no other answers that I will accept except that one. Let me see when it is coming out. It is coming out in November 18th. I've already pre-ordered it. I am set. I'm ready. I loved Quicksilver. Not everybody loved Quicksilver, but Quicksilver was another solid 5-star. I was entertained from beginning to end. It was the right kind of toxic for me. I absolutely love the book and I cannot wait for Brimstone. I am so intrigued. I also am really excited because in this series, Elsie Silver is coming out with Wild Card, and that one is coming out in September, I think, September 9th. I've already pre-ordered that one too. I'm very excited about that one. I think that is going to be a guy dating his son's ex-girlfriend. I don't know how they're going to pull that off, but I have faith in Elsie Silver. And also, if you had asked me this a while ago, I would have said The Ballad of Falling Dragons by Sarah A. Parker, but she moved it to February 2026 and my heart is broken. Just 2 parts, just falling off. Love. Oh my god, I love the first book so much. And I can't believe I have to wait to 2026 to read the second part. Biggest disappointment. Okay, so I brought out 2 books that for one reason or another, I was intrigued to read these books. But first we have to mention, this is Harper Elwood's The Coven, and then the second book, I don't even remember the second book. These are awful, especially the second book. The second book I gave 1 star. It is so bad, and this book is lust driven. And there is no plot whatsoever. And she's trying to do this good versus evil kind of a plot. Like literally, you know, angels versus demons kind of a thing. And it is just so weak. And there was literally a point, and this is how thin this book is. And the other one is as thin. And there was a point in the second book, literally, they haven't left the bedroom for like 5 chapters. And she says, oh, I get to meet my best friends. And I said out loud, who? Because I couldn't even remember them. When did you become best friends? You've literally spent 75% of this book being with this guy that is... Let's not go into talking about like the age difference and the power imbalance and all of that, because it's going to make my skin crawl. But like, it is so poorly executed. It's just... firm no. The next one is gonna be Twisted Love. This is by Anna Huang, and there was one point in this book where I was reading the book, I slapped it together and I screamed into the room, get a restraining order, and my husband came into the room and he's like, who are we talking to? The book. We're talking to the book. Get a restraining order. Most toxic guy ever. And there are definitely, like, just me mentioning Quicksilver before, there are definitely guys that I know they're a little bit toxic, I get it, but for me, it's the right, like I said, the right kind of toxic. Like, I still think that they had a reason, I can see the reasoning. This guy, get a restraining order. He is creepy, he is controlling, he's a stalker. Like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And at no point during this book is he even trying to be a different person. It literally ends with him being as awful as always. And for me, I think, and again, this might be me, 41 years old, I've seen some shit, okay? This hits a little bit too close to home. And if this guy wasn't a good-looking billionaire, this would be an episode of CSI. This would be an episode on Bailey Sarian's crime podcast. It wouldn't be a romance novel. Because this guy is a creep. Where this book ends, you know, the prologue, that's him digging her into the garden. That's the prologue of this book. So it just hits a little bit too close to home. And I just hate for us to romanticize creeps like this, because this is not the standing you're gonna get in real life. And I hated this guy with a burning passion. And no, I have book number 2 here. I have heard though, this is Twisted Love. The second one is Twisted Games. And I've heard people saying Twisted Love is okay, which I thought it was awful, but Twisted Games is the best one. So I'm gonna read that one because I own it. But if I hate it, as I hated this one, that's it. I'm not reading more. Next one is Biggest Surprise. And this is where I'm gonna pull out this one again, because I cannot believe that I have listened to at least 10 different, spoiler-free, though, reviews of this book where people are saying, this is a 5-star, you need to read it. And I was still so surprised opening this book, realizing that this was a urban fantasy. I literally had no idea, and I don't know if that's me not paying attention or people not reviewing it clearly enough. Urban fantasy, not horse and carriage, cars. I cannot be more clear. And again, it's not a bad thing. I just want people to know what they're getting themselves into. This is not Throne of Glass, this is Crescent City. I'm just saying. Still a great book though, but I have not been as surprised as I was starting this book, where I was like, cell phone you say? Okay. Favorite new author? I'm gonna go with Danielle L. Jensen. I love the way she writes. I love her characters. I love her banter, and I love how her characters are not afraid to be messy. I love her characters are not allowed to admit to themselves that they have made mistakes or that they are selfish. I love the wording that she uses in her books. You saw that in the book that I held up. I even had like 2 annotations. In her new book, I did 2 annotations too. She just has a way with words that really work for me. I like it a lot. I like her writing style. I think it is not so lyrical that you kind of lose me, but also not so straight to the point that it's just annoying. For a lot of the like dialogue, they are staying true to like old Nordic way of speaking. It is a beautiful way of writing, and I really have been enjoying her books. And I have more. I have The Bridge Kingdom as well here, and I am definitely going to be reading that after I have finished reading A Curse Carved in Bone, because I am very excited that I have discovered her. I really like the way she writes. So favorite romance hero and heroine? I'm gonna say Freya and Björn from a Curse Carved in Bone and I keep missing the name, a Fate Inked in Blood. Because again, I feel like she has written them in a way where they seem believable. They're not afraid to be raw, they're not afraid to be real, they're not afraid to admit to themselves and to others when they have made mistakes or when they are selfish. And I admire that in characters, and they're also not like unhumanly like perfect. I like a perfectly imperfect person where it is okay to not be perfect in every situation, and I like that. I like those 2 characters a lot, and maybe that's why I like the series altogether a lot. It also has a newest favorite. I think this one says character, but I think it's like a crush. And again, I have to say, again, all men should be like, what is his name here? Weston. All men should try and be a little bit like Weston, okay? When men say women don't say what they want, oh no, we do. We want this. A little bit more of Weston, please. Book that made you cry. I actually brought out this one. I heard some people say I gave this book a 4-star. I thought there were some things of this book that I didn't love, but there were some flashbacks in this book of how they fell in love as kids, and there was just something about that just felt very sweet. And I'm a person who cries to everything, but when I saw that question, I immediately thought of this book because it did make me tear up a lot. I really enjoy those flashbacks. I usually hate flashbacks, but in this book it actually worked, and I just thought it was really sweet and endearing to see like how it were before and how they were now and how it was all connecting. And I just thought it was really sweet and endearing. And sometimes, you know, people say, you remember probably when you were a teenager, or maybe you're telling other teenagers that oh, it's just teenage love. But I feel like this book almost captured that it's not just teenage love. Love is love is love. And I just thought that this book did a really good job in describing that. Books that made you happy. That is a really good question. I think overall, both like, there's been some like more contemporary romance that I have read this year that has honestly been better than I thought it was gonna be. Before I started reading contemporary romance, I want to say end of last year, I didn't like it at all. I've read some before and I really didn't like it. I thought it was sloppy. I thought it felt like Days of Our Lives, but with sex scenes. I didn't really love it. Let's just put it like that. And I really feel like I've been able to find some authors and some ways of writing that's been truly entertaining, and I do laugh out loud at some of those books, and they've been a really nice, again, pick me up, palate cleanse, just been truly entertaining. And I have been really grateful that I've been able to find some authors that work for me in a way that some before really did not. Most beautiful book you bought this year so far. Okay, we have to bring this up again. And this is exactly, oh my god, sorry about that. This is exactly the same book that the other girls mentioned too. Shield of Sparrows is beautiful. This is beautiful. There is a soft matte metallic. So it is a soft matte metallic cover. This is not even special edition. This is just the normal one. And even like the hardcover is beautiful. The end pages, stunning. This whole book is just so beautiful. This is a work of art. There is embossing on it as well. It is just truly an incredibly beautiful book. And I just, yeah, it's one of the most beautiful books I own in my collection. And I love this book, but even if I hated this book, I'd still be happy to own something that pretty. Last one is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? I did bring out one book that I really want to read before the end of the year that I know I want to read, and that is Two Twisted Crowns. This is not a super new book, but I did read the first book in the series and I gave it a 5-star and I absolutely love it. This is by Rachel Gillig. And for one reason or another, I still haven't read part 2, but I really want to before the end of the year. I need to like get to this book because I love the first one so much. I also will say, I did give myself a promise at the end of last year, or maybe it was beginning of this year, that I want to end this year with less books in my physical TBR than I had when I ended last year. And last year I had 51, I think, or was it 41? I don't remember the exact number. I'll put the number here of how many books I had in my physical TBR when I ended 2024. So my goal when I end 2025 is to have less than that. Because I do read quite a lot of books, quite honestly. I read somewhere between 6 and like 10, 11 books a month. I do read quite a lot of books. With that being said though, I also have a tendency of like this book. Somebody recommends it and I'm like, oh, I want to buy that one. I want to read it. Or like this one. Like I said, I own it and for some reason I haven't read it. So I really, really, really need to read more of my physical TBR. And I did bring out my Kindle here because I love reading on my Kindle when I'm traveling. And I think this is, I don't want to say problem because I bought this one for travel, but when I am traveling, I tend to not bring my physical books. But my goal for 2025 is to have less books in my physical TBR when I end this year than I had when I ended last year. And I am gonna work on that one and I'm gonna make that a reality. I promise I will. I will make that a reality for sure. Let me know some of the questions that you have on some of these books. What was your best book, biggest disappointment, biggest surprise? I would love to hear all about it. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave if you want to see more book videos. I definitely have more book videos planned. And I will see you real soon in a new video. Either a book video or a vlog, you never know.